Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today we've got Lofa Tatupu, retired NFL linebacker, All-Pro with Seattle Seahawks, some other teams we don't care about, just the Seahawks. Now he's in charge of ZoneIn CBD. Welcome to the podcast, Lofa.
Man, thank you for having me, brother.
Well, I want to touch on just a little bit from the derivative factors and how your experience trying other products and coming to the realization that full cannabis extract was the way to go versus broad or isolate. So it's believed that CBD interacts with the body's endocannabinoid system, the chief purpose of which is to maintain a proper functioning of cells and coordinate healing. But like many parts of the body, the endocannabinoid system can get out of whack, and that's where CBD comes in. So it's theorized that the phytocannabinoids mimic some of our natural neurotransmitters, and by interacting with the receptors, they can quell the immune response that causes inflammation, one benefit which might be enhanced calm and focus. Not all CBD extracts, though, are created equal. The quality and CBD concentration varies from company to company. So from your experience, Lofa, how are the effects of hemp-based CBD derivatives different than others?
Than other hemp-based CBD companies? Is that
like an isolate, for example? You probably tried a lot of different products before you realized that full spectrum was the way to go.
There was, several months of R&D because I was even jotting down, I don't even know, we moved twice since that because this was 3 years ago, but I had a notebook about my experiences. And I was like, because, I'm hearing all this good stuff. I better expect, I'm a data guy, like show me, I should be feeling better, and by feeling better, should be able to get out and do more stuff. And it wasn't happening largely. And again, I won't ever disparage another company. But yeah, the isolate, I was quick to, within like 2 weeks, I was like, look, man, I'm done. Went on to broad spectrum at that, and I was, leery of that too. And then I was, almost when I got through that one, I was like, there's probably no hope, right? I was like, because I've done THC on its own, right? That cannabinoid on its own as an edible. Of course, we live in a recreational state, and that it did have me feeling a little better, but not to the point where I just felt like, okay, sometimes depending on the milligram, and even, a lot of them, they didn't have what was on the label was not, so you might get dosed. And that's why largely people are afraid of edibles, because they haven't always been exactly, okay, yeah, that piece is 20 milligrams. That piece is 5 milligrams. So a lot of R&D, but when I came across full spectrum oil, it was, man, that's how out of whack my ECS was, that within a day, 2 days, I was just like, yo, man, something's different. I couldn't, it was just, that's how I explain it, is that something was different and I liked it. And I just felt good, and I felt like I could take on the world again. And, that's where, that little voice comes back like, hey, I know we got some injuries, but, we could do this. And, I started getting back in the gym. And then it started snowballing into just all these positive effects and positive, reactions of a healthier, happier life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not all products are created equal, right? So I'm going to be reviewing your products as well as some other ones that I've tried, and hopefully it's going to taste better than what I've got here. These, what I tried here did not taste very good, so I'll be giving some honest feedback. I like this other product here. It's a 20-to-1 ratio, so 20 times the CBD to THC. You need a little bit, in my opinion, you need a little bit of THC to fully utilize the entire bioavailability of CBD as it kind of gets into your receptor cells. And so the 20-to-1 is a nice ratio for me. I like that.
The 20-to-1, is that 20 milligrams to 1 milligram, or is it a different? I know it's the ratio, but
yeah, 1,000 milligrams of CBD to 50 milligrams of THC.
Okay. All right.
So 20 times more CBD.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption. Here's a brief explanation about the differences between full spectrum, broad spectrum, and an isolate. So according to this Benzinga article, full spectrum describes the maximum amount of helpful native phytochemicals retained during extraction, including THC. So there's no precise regulatory definition, but the goal is to remove extraneous lipids while retaining an identical ratio of cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids from the original plant source material, which can only be verified by testing the material before and after the extraction. So true full spectrum extracts are rarer than one might expect. Most extractions lose significant terpenes and flavonoids during the process because they're much more volatile than cannabinoids. Ethanol and very low heat, the Rick Simpson oil RSO method or whole plant oil, or an extremely long vacuum extraction process can yield full spectrum extracts. On the opposite end of the spectrum, distillate, which we call hot dog water on this podcast, takes the opposite approach of full spectrum, seeking to remove everything but the cannabinoids of interest, like CBD. So after undergoing solvent extraction, the concentrated oil is run through a short path distillation process described above to purify it. So some suppliers will advertise full spectrum distillate, but this is a contradictory. So if terpenes or other bioactives are reintroduced after distillation, the product is sometimes called a broad spectrum. So what is broad spectrum? Well, it applies to the extractions which aim to retain a large complement of phytochemicals, but without the THC. So it allows some entourage effect for some entourage effect action without the stigma and intoxication that accompanies cannabis's most notorious component, THC. Hemp defines as cannabis plants containing less than 0.3% THC. It forms the basis for most broad spectrum extracts. Broad spectrum can also be created by either adding terpenes, flavonoids, and minor cannabinoids to CBD isolate, or by removing THC from full spectrum extract via distillation. So what is an isolate? It's the purest form of extracted cannabinoids, a crystallized powder with a purity of 99.9% created through additional solvent process after distillation. With the additional process steps, they're expensive, but due to extreme purity of the final product, cheaper crude extracts can be used as starting material without concerns for residue. Back to your scheduled programming.
So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Lofa Tatupu. He's CEO of ZoneIn CBD. Thanks for being on the podcast.
All right, brother. You take care. Have a great day.
I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.